Okay, so now since we have covered speed, velocity, distance, as well as displacement, the next important topic is acceleration. And that too also we will discuss in one dimension only, because two dimension will come later on when we will cover vector theory, differentiation, integration, logarithm, trigonometry. So we'll basically discuss how to calculate acceleration, what is the meaning of acceleration, and how to solve numericals using the basic formula. Okay, so acceleration is basically a vector quantity and its SI unit is meter per second square. So formula of acceleration is change in velocity divided by time taken. Or we can also write acceleration to be equal to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time taken. So suppose if a body is at rest and then it starts moving. So before its velocity was zero because it is at rest, and then after few seconds its velocity is not zero. So basically the body is accelerating. So if the meaning of the word accelerating is that either the velocity is increasing or decreasing. So if a body is accelerating, then its velocity is increasing or decreasing. The if the velocity is decreasing, then it is also called as retardation, but we will use the word acceleration at all the points. So positive acceleration and negative acceleration. Negative acceleration means retardation. Negative acceleration means velocity is decreasing. So how to calculate acceleration we'll understand with a simple numerical. So suppose that a car is there and initially the car is at rest. So at time t1, that's 0 second, the starting time, the velocity of the car is 0. So suppose now the car starts moving. See, the velocity is increased, and suppose at time t2 velocity is v2 and at time t3 velocity is v3. So from t1 to t2, if you can see, the car starts moving. So its acceleration will be positive and the value will be given by, so between t1 and t2, final velocity is v2, initial velocity is v1. So change in velocity is v2 minus v1 divided by final time is t2, initial time is t1, so t2 minus t1. So between t1 and t2, acceleration is v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. And between t2 and t3, acceleration will be v3 minus v2, because finally velocity is v3 and initially velocity is v2. So v3 minus v2 divided by t3 minus t2. So final time minus initial time. If you'll see the acceleration in this cases, so for first case, the acceleration will be positive. The reason the velocity is increasing. And in second case, the acceleration will be negative because finally the car has stopped. So acceleration will be negative. So sign of acceleration will tell you whether velocity is increasing or velocity is decreasing. Okay, so coming to another numerical. At time equal to 6 seconds, a person starts traveling towards positive x direction with 100 meter per second. So basically, in this question, we have to solve or we have to find acceleration, and the given parameters are that at time equal to 6 seconds, a person is traveling towards positive x direction with 100 meter per second. So at time equal to 6 seconds, velocity is 100 meter per second and the arrow shows that it is in positive x direction. After 10 seconds, the same person is traveling towards negative x with 100 meter per second. So after 10 seconds means at 16 seconds, the person is traveling towards negative x. So in backward direction with 100 meter per second. Find his acceleration. If you will see, at 6 seconds, the velocity is positive because it is in positive x direction. So we will write v1 to be equal to plus 100, and at time equal to 16 seconds, the person is traveling towards negative x. So v2 will be minus 100 meter per second. So acceleration will be equal to v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. So v2 is basically minus 100, v1 is basically 100, and t2 minus t1 is basically 10. So it comes out to be minus 20 meter per second square. This minus shows that the acceleration is towards negative x. Okay, if you'll see the figure, so initially the particle is traveling towards positive x and finally the particle is traveling towards negative x. So basically the person's acceleration is towards negative x. So this minus also represents the direction of acceleration. Okay, now coming to another numerical. Suppose velocity of a person varies with time as v equal to t cube. So velocity depends on time as v equal to t cube. Find acceleration of particle between 4 second and 10 second. So v is equal to t cube. At time equal to 4 second, velocity is 4 cube, that is 64 meter per second. And at time equal to 10 second, velocity is 10 cube, that is 1000 meter per second. So acceleration will be equal to v2 minus v1 divided by t2 minus t1. So v2 is basically 1000, v1 is basically 64, and t2 minus t1, 10 minus 4 will come out to be 6. So answer is 936 by 6 meter per second square. So the basic acceleration questions can be something like that we have discussed today, the three numericals. So on the basis of this video, you have to clear the basics of acceleration. Then only we can move to two-dimensional questions or three-dimensional questions. So what you have to do now is you have to submit an online quiz that is given in the description below. And also, if you have any doubt, you can contact me up on my WhatsApp number from the same number from which you have received this message. Okay, please submit the online quiz so that you know how much you have learned from this video. Okay.